Hi, today we will be talking about a very interesting topic, a topic that touches each one of us, a topic that we try to prevent no matter how much we try. Interestingly enough, we fail. Something, the best that we can do is to minimize it. Our topic today will be talking about failure in life. I know you might be surprised what would failure in life means to us. Let's first define it. What do we mean by failure? Failure simply, in simple language, means that you are not attaining what you are aiming for or trying to achieve. The critical question now is failure good or bad? Let's think and reflect carefully about this question. If failure is good, why do people try to prevent it? If it's bad, how come we cannot just eliminate it? Reality suggests that failure is something good. However, the goodness of failure comes with pain that we cannot prevent. So let's think and reflect carefully. We usually fail for certain circumstances that we cannot control, sometimes something beyond us. So for example, if I have a manager or a boss that I cannot communicate effectively with him or her, and this person just decides to terminate me. It might be painful, however, it will not be the end of the world. We can always try again. However, if failure is related to personal circumstances, we need to be carefully considering these circumstances and factors. So, for example, we tend to fail usually because we lack of persistence. Persistence means not investing enough energy in what we're doing in order to succeed. Another reason, for example, might be that we believe in fatalism. So some people will come and say, well, it meant to be this way, so why would I even bother? Forget about it, and that's it. Another reason, for example, that we fail because we don't have a clear objective or goal to achieve. Or if we do, this goal or objective is not realistic at all. So for example, if I would assume that I would like to lose 10 kilos of my weight, and all of a sudden I achieve that this target is not possible. So I would consider this failure. Now, let's reflect again. All these psychological factors and reasons can always be rectified by considering few issues. So, for example, failure means pain. And we hate pain as a human being because we always aspire and seek to be perfect, to be optimal. And this pain means that we are not as optimal as we wish to. Also, this pain will always reflect on us by thinking how other people will think of us and what do they say about our situation. You will notice that always failure reflecting intrinsically where we always care about what others think of us and what we think of ourselves. This is the negative side of failure. Now let's consider the positive side. First, failure can be a feedback about how good you've been doing what you've been doing. So for example, if you failed to produce an effective report at work, does this necessarily mean that you are a loser? Does this supposed to mean that you don't know what you're doing? Not at all. It means that you need to consider different approach, different tactics, or different methods in order to make things better. After the break, we will consider other issues of positive in relation to the failure. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We've said before the break that failure can be resulting from external circumstances or internal circumstances. Let's go in depth regarding the internal circumstances. We've said before the break, producing an ineffective report does not necessarily make of me a bad employee. But it means that maybe my approach or my method of writing this report was not good enough. Another reason, it means that did I have the needed KSA that required to produce the job at successful level? KSA stands for knowledge, skills, and attitude. So for example, maybe I failed in one of my projects or in anything in life because I lack the needed skill to perform this task optimally. Another reason, for example, failure can be positive because failure tells us that you need to learn and evaluate how do you perceive life and your tasks. So for example, if you fail, although it's painful, however, it's good because it signals certain weaknesses in the process that you're doing. So for example, if you are doing this work because you have to do it, you will not be successful because you will lose the stamina for it. At the end, whatever output you produce can be judged by a criteria. So for example, if you want to be successful, always ask, what is the criteria that you're going to judge me on? So if it's speed, you need to work on the speed. If it's the quality, then you need to work on the quality. If it's the elements, you need to work on the elements. One interesting factor I would like to highlight on is the objective that we establish in terms of achieving an objective. One way that sometimes we get very interested to achieve something and we forget to ask ourselves, are we capable to or not? So for example, a successful objective has to be SMART, meaning has to be specific, measurable, bound to timeline, and two critical elements related to failure. Is this objective attainable and realistic? Always keep in mind, failure means committing yourself to something either be unrealistic or not attainable. If this is the case, always ask yourself how I can do it better. I know it's painful because it means that people will look at us in a negative way. Regardless what we will do, people will not be satisfied. So let's isolate this factor aside and think more positively. Many people in many sports, for example, at professional level, they lose a match, a soccer match. But we haven't heard that any of such players or teams, they just quit. They always go to the coach and say, let's analyze the game and see what did we do wrong in order to rectify it next match. Surprisingly enough, if they work on it very hard, identify the weak points, you will see astonishing victory. Also, when it comes to failure, you don't need to blame yourself beyond your capacity. At the end, we human beings have capacity. We have limits we need to acknowledge. Let me just summarize and wrap up this issue. I know we always seek and aspire to reduce failure. I know it's hard. I know it's painful. However, let's think of the full half of the cup. There is always lesson learned. I hope this was interesting and I hope it will help you through your career. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.